O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying to me, there is no help for you in God. But you, O Lord, are a shield around me, my glory and the one who lifts up my head. I cry aloud to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy hill. I lie down and sleep. I wake again, for the Lord sustains me. I am not afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves around me, all around. Rise up, O Lord, deliver me, O my God, for you strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. Deliverance belongs to the Lord. May your blessing be on your people. Psalm 3.
Hello everyone, Pastor Cindy here with Pop-Up Prayer. Today we are praying with Psalms of Lament. This week's prayer practice, praying with Psalms of Lament, is inspired by an article written by our bishop called "Before We Get Back to Normal, We Need to Take Time to Grieve and Pray." So I've been praying with the Psalms recently because although we miss the poetic rhythm of the Hebrew language, I find in the Psalms an earthiness and an authenticity that's sometimes lacking in the spiritual life. In our culture, we tend toward what we call spiritual bypassing, using spiritual concepts in order to bypass our feelings. I don't want you to grieve and be unhappy because it makes me remember that I have things to grieve and be unhappy about. So I want you to be happy so I can be happy. So we tend to spiritualize things a lot in order to stay toward that happiness. So the only problem with that is that just because we ignore our feelings doesn't mean they go away. What they do is they erupt in places that we don't want them to, and in ways that can sometimes be inappropriate. And so when we attend to our feelings of grief and loss, then they're less likely to erupt in times that we don't want them to. So praying with the Psalms invites God into our struggles. Praying with the Psalms helps us become aware of God in our struggles. You remember back a few Sundays ago when Pastor Fred preached on Psalm 23, and he laid out Walter Brueggemann's patterns of Psalms, Psalms of orientation, Psalms of disorientation, and Psalms of surprising reorientation. Well, Psalms of Lament are Psalms of disorientation. They tend to emerge in times of loss and grief, times of trouble. And interestingly, there are more Psalms of Lament in the book of Psalms than there are any of the others. So why is that? I think the reason for that is that we tend to turn toward God in our troubles. When things are going our way, we don't really need God that much. But when things fall apart, we turn toward God. Sometimes the most profound prayer is, "Help me, God." And that is one in which God always answers as well as anything else. So Psalms of Lament have 5 distinct movements in their pattern. It is a pattern, and a pattern is not something that we have to stay with. The 5 elements are there even if they're not laid out in a certain way. But generally they start with a call to prayer, a call upon God. Then they will move into a complaint or a description of the trouble. Here's what's happening, God. This is not right. Then they will also contain a trust in God. You are my refuge in my troubles. There will be then a plea for God to respond. And finally, an expression of praise or a vow to God. So why is the pattern of a lamenting psalm important? Why do we need to know that? Why should we care? The pattern is important because we find that even in our deepest and darkest valleys, we can trust the God who is always with us and who always listens to us in our struggles. Proclaiming that with the psalmist helps us to claim that trust and presence in our own circumstances. So the most famous psalm of lament, in my opinion, is Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? This is the psalm, or these are the words that Jesus cries out from the cross. But when we hear those words with the psalmist and with the people who know the psalmist and who know Jesus, we know that in context, Jesus is praying the entire psalm in his spirit. He knows it that well. When he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? We can know that he is expressing his trust in God, and he is praising God in that. And he invites us to do that as well, to pray in and with these psalms of lament so that we can get to that place where we trust in the God who always hears us and listens to us and is always present with us in our troubles. So how can we pray with the Psalms? Well, the way I pray with the Psalms, as I've been doing it recently, is I always begin with Lectio Divina, and we did this with Psalm 23 a couple weeks ago, this pattern of Lectio Divina, if you wanted to know more about that. Then what I'll do after I engage and kind of determine where God is moving in that, I will sometimes enter into a time of paraphrasing the psalm, putting it in my own words for my own circumstances, or write just a completely new one using the pattern of the Psalm of Lament. And that pattern is printed in the Facebook piece underneath, so you can find that pattern there. I would encourage you to go ahead and try it yourself. Write your own Psalm of Lament. You might begin with reading through Psalm 3 if you wanted to. That's the one that I read today. And I do, when I end my time of praying with the Psalms, as a benediction, I will read the Psalm from Nan Merrill's book called Psalms for Praying. She's softened the language a little bit, but that's okay. It's still true to, I think, the Psalms, and it helps me to enter into a time of deeper peace from my prayer time. So I would invite you to now listen to the Psalm 3 in the words of Nan Merrill.
O beloved, how numerous are my fears. They rise up within me, whispering, there is no help for you. Yet you, O beloved, radiate love around me, my glory. Gratitude becomes my song. When I cry out to you, you answer within my heart. I lie down to sleep. If I should awaken, my beloved is there, holding me with strength and tenderness. I feel secure. Now I shall forgive all illusions that my ego tries to build, for my courage is in you, O love, you who are the lover hidden in every heart. Rise up, love, set me free, for through your guidance my fears will fade into love. Free from fear, I will know that oneness of being that encompasses everything. I shall be free to serve you with a glad and open heart. Well, there it is, my friends. Until we meet again, may you be free to serve God with a glad and open heart.